Hey everyone, Nico here, welcome back to my channel and for a new episode of Road to Masters. So if I look a bit sleepy, it's normal. I just woke up basically, but I really want to get to Masters, so we need to work on that. So priorities. Let's have a look. We're player 4 again, which seems to be a very usual thing for us, weirdly. So the decks, we have Memo Coder, obviously, that would be really nice to pick up. Power play in the Imperium role. Guild Administrator I like as well, obviously. So yeah, let's see who we have here. I think, to be honest, Duke Lido is probably gonna be our choice here. Because, I mean, I really like this prudent diplomacy and obviously also the Landsrat popularity. And I feel like when having the burden of being the last player, at least you need to make the most out of your advantage, being first pick in the leaders. So I really want to go with the best possible choice according to my own preferences. So let's see what our opponents will be choosing. Armand, very nice. Helena and probably Ilban. Maybe Ilessa. I find her quite an interesting pick, but I kinda struggle to play her, to be honest. Because I feel like once I chose that second card to put aside, I'm a bit bound on playing it, and I'm a bit less flexible in changing my plans, which in Dune Imperium is still quite important to be adaptable and not necessarily stay frozen in your plans. Oh, and that is a horrible hand. This also sounds like a very common thing from me, coming from me, but that is just terrible. The only positive is that we would have anyways 5 in persuasion to buy something here. Obviously power play being the most interesting one, but we are last pick, so we cannot really expect power play to still be there. Especially with an Elena who might have her signet ring in hand. So we don't have that many choices. It's basically those 4 squares we can go. And what is the most important to us? I'd like to pick some spies for sure to be able to get the signet ability running. But I think I'll start with a reconnaissance. Actually, Arakin is maybe not a bad choice, because maybe it would allow us to do something else with our second turn. Well, it seems we won't be able to go to Carthage anymore anyways. Yes, I think that will be the play. Although we still want to get some spice, but maybe we will just pick it up directly with the signet ring. I think we will deploy 2. Leaves us quite flexible because those 2 we can still potentially deploy next round, next turn. Obviously Memo Corder gone. And Menmon already has Spacing Guild Influence 2. Yeah, I think this attraction to tech negotiation strongly indicates that power play will most likely be taken during their reveal turn. So I think I am happy with being second place here, to be honest. Don't really want to overcommit. Victory points are always good, don't get me wrong, but I feel like they have maybe a bit lower value in the very first conflict, where I'd really like picking up resources. So I think we will just go to wealth, picking up some Solari. With those two here, we will already be at 4, and we will be quite in a good position to get a Swordmaster soon. Maybe not next round, but let's see. And power play for Helena. But actually we have 6 persuasions, so Gurney could definitely be the play here. And I think it will be. Let's see what we had as a new Holtzman engine and shuttle fleet. Well, 2 expensive ones. Yes, let's not overthink it. We get a second wave, which can be very useful. Oh, and that's a conflict I really like as well. Some intrigue cards, a little push up one of the tracks. I think I'd like to visit Hagabassin with the signet ring, just to pick up some spies and also be able to trigger the signet ability. And then most likely playing Seek Allies. Or maybe start with Seek Allies in the case where Fall Space is not taken by then. That changes our plans actually. Could be very much changing our plans, because this little Solari that we were gifted by Helena would allow us to do wealth and then get our Swordmaster, which I think will be the play if it's open, obviously. Between Armand and Helena, they're kind of shotgunning everything possible in the Imperium row, which is also interesting way of playing. Obviously, you cannot really anticipate much in terms of what you will be able to buy. Although now that they both use their signet abilities, we have a bit more room to plan. And I really like Jamie's and Siege Reverend Mother, obviously, with their trashing ability. So let's see if we get to buy any of those We have actually quite low persuasion, so Siege Reverend was already a bit compromised, but James could very well be. Actually not, given we will most likely want to play Signet Ring, unless we go to Arakin. The initial plan would still be to go to grab some spice to be able to trigger the ability and give up on maybe acquiring a card this turn. Which is not ideal. Early game you'd like to acquire a card because that's where you bring the most value out of them. Being able to get them as early as possible means you can play them more, obviously. But it is what it is. Helena taking an option on that conflict, and a good one I think, because with 8 troops it will be quite complicated to catch up with her. That was obviously the plan for our third agent. That might change a bit what we want to do. Maybe we will give up on getting spies and rather go Arakin if it's still open, because that actually gives us a way of winning the conflict, potentially committing 3 troops in, which makes 6, plus a dagger 7, plus our second wave. Especially now that we know she doesn't have any daggers, she's stuck at 8, no intrigue cards. I think it would make sense. It kinda gives us first place here, that influence that we miss out on not being able to trigger our signet ability. So let's say it evens out. Let's see. Also it allows us to draw and potentially buy something from the persuasion Imperium row, sorry. Just hoping that James will still be there, because I don't know how that card costs 2, to be honest, with that infiltrate ability on the Freeman faction, that trashing, that reveal effect that is also quite versatile. So we will now definitely go to Arakin. Let's see what we draw here. That's not ideal, obviously. Diplomacy would like to play as an agent, not to reveal it. It's basically the only one, I mean with Gurney potentially, but that's just 2 cards out of 6, and we draw one of those 2. It's my usual luck, let's call it. We like playing with a bit of an additional challenge, and that is exactly what it is. And our next hand will be horrendous. But but it's what it is. With 3 agents, it basically means either we draw cards or we need to commit 2 agents to triangle spaces, so it is a bit challenging. Oh, and James has been taken by Armand, but Spice Hunter, I mean, obviously is not as good, but it still has at least 1 faction access as well, which I think we will take now. Or Arrakis Liaison, building up a bit our persuasion. No, let's take the Spice Hunter. Also, just the fact that we kinda ruined our faction access this round by drawing the diplomacy. We kinda need to get those as much as possible. Alright, the sleeper must awaken. That's one we really appreciate, obviously. Some secret victory points that we can trigger. Always very powerful. Some Solari, which we obviously wouldn't mind as well, given we still need High Council, some Dreadnoughts, but it's not the highest priority for us. And most likely Menmon and Armand should at least target it a bit more, given they are very far from unlocking their 3rd agent. Let's see, if smuggling is open, we might want to go there. But playing a Gurney on Arrakeen is also something I'd like to do. To be able to draw 2 cards, reshuffle this basically. I think we will start with the Gurney, because there are much better cards to be able to play rather than just being locked with Dune. Yes, let's do it. Diplomacy coming back, that's very good. Are we committing anything? I wouldn't say so. If we enter the conflict, I think we will rather enter late and try to optimize a bit, rather than now targeting first spot by potentially overcommitting. So now we will most likely still be willing to play Dune the Desert Planet to grab some spies if it's still available. Smuggling is not the worst, but not really a high priority, given we don't have anything to play for right now in terms of that spacing route, spacing track, sorry. So Helena seems to be the next one, unlocking her Swordmaster. I think for us, ideally a diplomacy to Fault Space, unlocking that interstellar shipping for our round. Also, given it's only Menmon there, always important to see the order of the turns, and we are just before Menmon, meaning we will have the choice of going to interstellar shipping 3 times out of 4. The only time where he has that choice is when he starts the round. So it is quite an advantageous spot to be in. And that's also just a very generic advice, but look a bit what the player right before does, because in terms of strategy, he will most likely block the spots before you 3 times out of 4. So try to maybe adopt something a bit different than what he is doing. While you can also have a look at what the player right after you does, and you can have that role of being able to block him 3 times out of 4. So it is quite valuable to typically make that false space call, come here and maybe disrupt a bit his plans of potentially spamming that interstellar shipping. If we have a triangle, actually, yes, we will have the signet ring and the spice hunter. But for the signet ring, we would like to have some spice finally, and Imperial Bastion would be exactly that for us. Still the same decks, having seen only 2 being picked up. Oh, just saying that now. Shuttle fleet being bought by Menmon. Holo projectors coming up. Interesting. If I were you, if I were him, I would have definitely taken it on the Spacing Guild, trying to show my intention of going towards one in alliance. He's actually doing it, but on the Freeman, so it does make sense as well. Especially because he's got a bigger gap over his competitors here, so fair enough, it makes total sense. Third agent for Helena. Interesting. Definitely a good choice of monopolizing an opulence given its victory point potential. And what is he buying with 3? I know what I would be buying. That Bene Gesserit sister is so versatile, so useful. And he does that same choice. Oh, well, that's not too bad. Potentially for us, although Menmon will be revealing before us. So let's pick up that spice that we were talking about. Could actually go for a Menta, but no, I don't see much value in that. Should we deploy anything? Actually, yes, I think one should make sense because our friend Armand already revealed. He's got 3 entry cards though, but with our dagger we would go in front of him at least, and he would be forced into playing 1 to get something better than 2 Solari, and to be fair, 1 troop, 2 Solari would make sense. We just have to hope that Helena doesn't see any value in joining the conflict, which I don't think she will, to be fair. Because she only has 1 troop in her garrison, she has her 3rd agent unlocked, so I would bet on the fact that she doesn't join. Oh, we have a Peter de Vries. I like that high persuasion, that intrigue card on agent effect. Also like the guild administrator, but what will we take then? Oh, and that might still be a sign that she wants to join the combat. And she does. But just with 1, which is quite interesting. Oh, who does she take out of the conflict? Probably me, maybe Armand. Oh no, okay, she goes for first place. She's fighting against Manmon. Interesting. this point, we will favor the strong card. Although Guild Administrator gives us a bit of a faction access, a bit of trashing ability, but then with 3, take either Arrakis Liaison or Space Travel. It is not a bad idea, because the only thing with Peter de Vries that I don't really like is his agent icons. I mean, basically it's an Arrakis Liaison on steroids, which is still obviously a good card. But do I prefer maybe going for a Guild Administrator? You know what? Let's do it. Let's see also what is behind. Oh, a 3/3. Anyways, we wouldn't have been able to buy it, but that's probably the best card out of there. I mean, out of the very expensive ones, like obviously the Kvisach, Lady Jessica, those are better, but in terms of let's say normal cards that you can find several times in the deck, this is definitely the strongest in my book. Let's see. So they are putting us last. Now it is our choice. So we could have 5 daggers. Could actually win it potentially. I think I'll do it just to prevent them from, I mean, basically knocking all of them down 1 peg in terms of Solari winning. It still costs us a bit of influence, but I think we can afford it. And I started the round saying it's not really a conflict I would be willing to win, and we don't need to like overcommit. But on the other hand, we don't really overcommit. We just have 1 troop in there, spent 1 in trick card, which is not a bad thing to be able to buy others on the go. The only thing is it cost us 1 influence here, so it's obviously not ideal, but as long as we don't have plans within plans, I'm not that influence hungry. In usual games, I would be targeting two influence everywhere and 1 alliance, and that is, I think, already a very good place to be in. So Armand building up a bit the suspense. I think he would most likely have played 1 before already if he wanted to win the conflict. And he passes. So that for us is actually quite powerful, because it would allow us to go to High Council and the Dreadnought, given our discount, our Landsrat popularity. And even a Menta, actually. So this Solaris sets us up nicely. So here, first thing we'd like to do is most likely go to interstellar shipping. We can do so with the Signet ring. Let's first gain 1 influence with the Freeman. And here we just advance twice. Yeah, nothing that interesting in the tech side. I mean, Holo Projector is an interesting one. Wind traps, obviously, just to get a bit of water can also make sense. Was that a power play then? Interesting, yes. On our turn, we Probably want to go to still suits, get a bit of a second water, have a bit more flexibility to go potentially to research station, the Great Flat, getting that siege tower unlocked. I think it makes sense. And our last agent, or actually maybe keeping the false base but going with the dagger to Dreadnought is also something I'd appreciate right now. And then next turn, hoping for one of those two Freeman accesses to be open for our Spice Hunter. Could be a play I'd like as well. I think we will do that. And I did not use the false base to go there, just in the spirit of trying to have as much flexibility as possible in terms of our future placements, let's say, on the faction spaces, because we still need quite some influence there, most likely going twice to Bene Gesserit, not forgetting that we can also get a bit of influence thanks to the shipping track, but overall we need at least 2 influence with the Bene Gesserit, 1 with the Emperor, 1 with the Fremen, and then 2 anywhere else to get an alliance. So that's still a lot of influence we need. Let's see where we stand compared to others. We have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 influence. Menmon would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Helena has 2, 3, and Armand has 1, 2. So we are quite in the middle of the pack. But it makes sense. I mean, just by the profile of the players, at least Armand I would expect to be quite low in terms of influence, because he's got a strong incentive of going to the non-faction spots, given his passive ability of trashing cards. Coordination, it is called. But given our leader's profile, we should be technically among the leaders in terms of influence, especially given our signet ability and the fact that we can usually get the Swordmaster quite early thanks to our discount, so meaning we have more agents to send potentially also to those faction spots. So we will definitely be willing to catch up on that. Only thing is, playing our Spice Hunter means we won't be able to buy anything this round, but anyways, best we could be buying is an Arrakis Liaison, and I don't see it as a benefit over keeping that false space for a future and better purpose. So now we will definitely deploy at least our Dreadnought, because it doesn't cost us anything, and I think that will be it. He puts us a bit in a position where most likely this influence bump will have to be taken somewhere else, like Bene Gesserit or Emperor, despite me really liking getting an option for an alliance with those kind of bumps. It seems unlikely I will be doing it this time because both where we would be in a position to do so, Manmon is in front of us, so we would probably incentivize him on going there straight away to lock in the alliance, and we don't have much value in trying to fight with those. We can definitely try to claim one of those when we are in a position to get 2 influence in one turn. Typically with the signet ring, potentially. So we can be very happy with getting 3rd place with just a Dreadnought. Ooh, and that's... actually, we will even get better after this staged incident, it seems like. Unless he plays another intrigue card to get back in front, but it seems we get both intrigue card and water thanks to that Dreadnought. I calculated higher for a Menta. Not my favorite intrigue card, but we can still potentially make use of it. Siege of Arakim. So this round, definitely making use of that diplomacy. Probably going to High Council. Also given that no one else will most likely be in a position to do so, given I would expect Armand to go grab his Swordmaster. Where to use this diplomacy? We could actually go to Fold Space. Oh, I spoke too early as usual. Didn't see that one coming. But going to Fold Space would have actually blocked his way of going there. And had he not taken that point, we would have been in position next turn to use interstellar shipping to claim that alliance, but he saw through this. Could actually use the same kind of logic with Steel Suits, given he has no water, so he's not really in a position to go to Hardy Warriors anyways. We might be willing to do just that, to at least make it not as easy as this for him to claim a second alliance, because then he would take a bit the lead, and we would prefer avoiding such situation. And what I like with the Freeman as well is that not only it allows you to claim a bit of influence, but it also gives you direct access to the combat, so it is quite valuable. And then we have quite some extra water, and most likely that would be a great flat. Maybe this round already, or being greedy and trying to wait for one more. that will remain to be seen. What do we have for next round? We have a guild administrator to go to interstellar shipping most likely. Only thing, and this is a bit annoying, is that we won't have a discard pile for it. Which is not ideal. Maybe we'll have another triangle access to go to shipping first and then use the administrator a bit differently. Or first, no, we first need to go to interstellar shipping, otherwise it will obviously be claimed by Menmon. So now what do we want to do first? I think it is a diplomacy to still suits committing to the conflict. I think we can. Do we send that troop as well? Maybe not, because we have only 2, so we can easily deploy them by visiting another combat space. And we are very early in the round, so I don't really want to blindly commit. Armand probably to Swordmaster, and probably snatching maybe a space travel or just an Arrakis liaison. I mean, potentially desert ambush as well. I am not a big fan of that card, but in the end it still has some value. But no, it will be an Arrakis liaison. We now will, or do we actually claim rather? Interesting. What do we have here? Spy satellites, holo projector. Spy satellites could actually make sense, also just to make sure Armand cannot take it, because this would have strong value for him. I mean, I know we cannot currently take it, but that would just be first Dune the desert planet to the Great Flat and delaying for a dreadnought afterwards. I'm not sure it's that valuable though, because we have quite some spice needs here. Also, keeping some for a Hayliner maybe in 2 rounds could make sense. And that spice satellites does not have that much value for us. I mean, except for a potential victory point, but another one that we would need to pay with spice as well. So it might be a bit too much in terms of spice requirements for us. So let us go. Let us actually maybe still go to Dreadnought, just to claim our second one. Because right now that, I mean, had the treachery still been there, I would have definitely considered a bit of additional persuasion. But right now, I mean, Peter de Vries is not a bad card, but I think I prefer having 2 Dreadnoughts ready. And given our plan of grabbing some spice with our next agent turn, we can also commit it. And we will be the last player unless someone picks up a Menta. We should be last player, so we will have the luxury of knowing exactly what our opponents are doing in terms of combat involvement. Right, that's definitely something I should have realized as well, is his passive ability and his capacity of going to the High Council this round given the high amount of Solari. So this alliance seems a bit compromised. I mean, basically we will need to fight for it a bit more seriously if we want it, which we might at some point. Oh, and an early reveal for a Spice Must Flow for Arman. And no one joining the conflict. It's quite interesting. I mean, there are a couple of intrigue cards. I mean, only Menmon could technically play them because Armand has already finished his reveal turn. But I think we still want to pick up some extra spice here. And just to be safe, I'd send the second one in. Basically, doesn't cost us anything anyways. So playing it safe seems to make sense to me. And that's probably a Peter de Vries for Menmon. Oh, Lady Jessica. That is typically one of the strongest cards of the deck, obviously. And it might give us a bit of an incentive to go to High Council next round if we can. Seems a bit compromised, but we never know. Let us just reveal. Oh, and Helena was actually not in a position to get to Treachery. I kinda missed that. Let's go for an Arrakis Liaison. Nothing of those cheap ones really tempts me. And we're alone in that conflict. That is quite rare. And what do we want to control? Well, actually, I would say Imperial Basin to get, or try to get some more spice. And yeah, I mean, it's just about one spice for this turn, but we can still try and make that bet. Okay, so we would have a way of going to the High Council, which would then give us 9 persuasion. Then it means we cannot play both. Oh, actually, yes, Gurney allows us to draw a card, so it could work. But it is a bit annoying. We might need to give up on the trashing ability of Guild Administrator, because we kinda want to go to Interstellar Shipping to make sure Menmon cannot go, and because it also brings us some significant value. Maybe we could go for a Hollow Projector. Would only cost us 1 if we decide to climb before calling back. Not sure if it has much value. Yeah, that is definitely a play to draw some cards and potentially claim that Lady Jessica. Should we actually just trash itself when playing it? It's not my favorite play because we have so many other cards we would love to trash, and it's our only trashing ability in the deck. But then again, do I really want to draw it compared to other cards? Because that, yeah, why not actually, in the spirit of potentially having more Hayliner accesses. I think it could make sense. Oh, and Changing his mind, basically. Moving from selective breeding to tech negotiation and buying that. I forgot the name. That's by satellites, exactly. So yeah, let us go to interstellar shipping, unfortunately not using the trashing. Maybe a restricted ordinance, actually. I think it has more value than an hollow projector, and I think we want that in the spirit of getting involved in those conflicts. So we will definitely take the spice here, buy that restricted ordinance. What popped up after it? Oh, a flagship. And here, I think we want that point with the Emperor, because it's most likely not a space, not spaces I will be really willing to visit anymore. Whereas Bene Gesserit spaces are, or can be interesting in game. Oh, do I have to trash something? It seems like it. Decline. Yeah, let's just decline it. Not too bad for our goal of maybe attracting people to Imperial Basin, given they don't have enough water for any other spice resource. So if they want spice, they need to come to us and feed us a spice as well. Now, actually, do we want to go just to Arakeen, if free by then, or do we actually target a research station, which would put us in a very good position to get a spice flow? Oh, and that's a spice for us. I think Arakin could also be enough for a spice must flow, given we want to do dagger to High Council next agent turn. And now drawing 2 cards. So here it's -2 in terms of persuasion, so we're at 4. Dagger there will bring us back to 6. And we need 3 persuasion out of the 2 cards we would be drawing. Yeah, quite compromised actually. We only have 2 significant sources of persuasion, so I think if we want to try the spice must flow, we kinda need to come to research station. And I think we wanna do that. Oh, we would have had one, so it would have worked actually. And let's for sure deploy. Maybe not as much. We don't need that much. No one is really involved except Menmon. Do we want to try to fight for this conflict? Or just participate? I think for now just participating. Because it's round 6 and having a significant garrison can bring so much for the next important conflicts. The level 3 one starting round 7. What will be our next hand? Oh, that can have high promises. There will be 5 out of those 6 cards in our hand, and I really like False Play, Signaturing, Diplomacy. There, it also guarantees us having at least one access to Hayliner, potentially, if we want to do that. No one else has enough spice for it, so I would say we're in a very good position right now. Menmon winning that conflict I'm not a big fan of, because that would bring him to 7 victory points. But let's see, we still have calculated higher in case, potentially, to try and fight for it. But we wouldn't have that many options, given we still want for sure to have a Spice Must Flow. We can only play Spice Hunter or Dune the Desert Planet. Given we don't have water, we would need to play Dune the Desert Planet. What am I saying? It's taken, so no, we cannot play any of those. So only one we could technically play is Arrakis Liaison to one of those city space, but that would prevent us from getting a Spice Must Flow, so I don't think it's really something we would be willing to do. Interesting. Taking an option on a third alliance for Menmon, which would be quite crazy, and we need our colleagues now more than opponents to try and fight for those alliances as well, because as you can see they're quite behind in terms of persuasion, and that puts Menmon in a quite good position there. That seems to be a Spice Must Flow. Actually calculated higher to Arrakeen. Basically with the Arrakis Liaison to Arrakeen brings us down to 8 persuasion, and here there's only one card that doesn't bring us to Spice Must Flow. But on the other hand, Signaturing, Diplomacy are not really cards I want to reveal neither, so it's only half of the cards that I would be okay to draw. But then again, he's got 6 cards, a High Council, most likely that means a Spice Must Flow as well. Or actually I'm thinking maybe for us, instead of a Spice Must Flow, it might sound crazy, but going for a Lady Jessica, getting that water and contesting that alliance, and next round we know we can go, and we will be playing before him. So maybe we should rather do that, because that's 1 victory point as well for us. Not a bad spot to visit, potentially, Hardy Warriors, to just get involved in the conflict. And it's 1 less victory point for him. Also, we kind of make sure that he cannot buy it as well, because that's a victory point right there for him. So I think we kind of have to do that. Or at least it is a more interesting play. Oh, right, we have that deck. I forgot about that. That's a good surprise. And do we actually want that space travel now? Why not? Persuasion, a good access. So let's see if we can win that conflict. Brings us to 6. Sleeper must awaken 7. Stealing that alliance 8. And the good conflict 10. It could work. We have our road to victory. Not saying it will work, but it's always good to have a plan on how you plan to, how you will try to get your missing victory points. Let's see if he can do anything about us winning. Seems he cannot. And that basically just costs us 1 turn of one of our dreadnought, the other one coming back. So it is not that high of a cost, to be fair. And I think we will again. No, we cannot recontrol the same spot, because we first need to control one spot and then our other dreadnought comes back. So this is not the best conflict for us. So now, starting from round 7, the shipping truck loses a bit of its power, because now getting involved in that conflict is usually taking precedence over continuing to get those small bonuses, especially when you have a garrison, especially when you're not in the middle of it, where you can immediately trigger the bonuses. So in my position, for instance, with my token being at the lowest, having a garrison, trying to steal that alliance, we have other priorities, and we will gladly let him go to interstellar shipping if he wants. It's funnily enough, we're only 2 being able to go there, and typically Armand doesn't have access to any of those special spots, being Siege Tavern and interstellar shipping, which is still quite unusual. That's a 4th entry card, and we will definitely keep an eye on that at some point if we can go to secrets. Oh, he plays 1, which makes sense. Probably getting a victory point out of that Freeman and unlocking Siege Tab for him. Are we playing Diplomacy or Fall Space to go to Hardy Warriors? I think anyways we want to play Diplomacy, Fall Space and Signet Ring. So it does not really matter in my opinion. We also know what we will be drawing, an Arrakis Liaison. So I think we start with Diplomacy just to keep as much flexibility as possible with Fall Space. And actually, a Highliner. I mean, we don't have enough troop for a Highliner because we can only recruit 4 additional ones. But we might still make that call, because it would bring us to 3 influence here, and that double bump would actually allow us to also steal that alliance. So it could be quite a fun play. Let us first just make sure we commit to that conflict. Another play would be Signet Ring to get 1 influence here with the Bene Gesserit. Or actually, if we kind of show we win here, or it looks very likely that we do, Could also do signaturing to gain an influence with the spacing guild and do exactly what we talked about right now. But signaturing and fall space would allow us to also get that victory point out of the Bene Gesserit. And actually the double bump can also be used here if we win the conflict, which would have a more attractive bonus in terms of what we want right now. We favor much more troops over resources. So he is fighting for that alliance. Interestingly. Did he use Jamis to do so? Interesting, he probably didn't have any other access to Freeman, otherwise he would probably have favored using the other one and being able to, with Jamis, to come to Hardy Warriors and locking in that alliance. Holo projectors. Could actually also get a flagship with all that spice, but we need to probably keep it for the Sleeper Must Awaken, for potentially a Hayliner. We might not even have enough, basically, for all our plans. The signaturing might actually still go to interstellar shipping, just to get that influence at some point in the next round. So yes, I think the signaturing ability will push us up with the Bene Gesserit, given we have here the option to overtake him, potentially, although that might be gone by the end of this round, but I think we still make that bet. And given we are willing to use or to go to interstellar shipping right now, we will have one more influence bump in case he does so, to catch it before he can play next round, because we will be first player. So let us just do a double climb in here and get it with the Bene Gesserit. Do we actually want maybe to... No, that would put us below 6, and we still want that flexibility of having a possible Hayliner. And what will we actually do with our fall space now? Maybe go to the secrets to make sure we can use that influence bump anywhere we'd like, to potentially steal or secure here, or steal an alliance in case we get to there. I think it could make sense. Or actually, I know that puts us below and prevents us from having a Hayliner, but we anyways potentially want to keep 4 spies for it, so maybe selective breeding instead of secrets, because that would make us draw 3 cards. So one guaranteed one is Arrakis Liaison, so it puts us to for 6 persuasion, and then we would need 3 persuasion out of 2 cards, which is a bit compromised. I mean, no, it is quite likely actually. Let's try it. I think it can make sense. I think it's a right play, especially given we can trash one card without persuasion here. So we get, hopefully and rightly so, a space travel, which is perfect. Oh, and we would probably have liked keeping her for next round, but we won't complain about it too much. And it might be game this round if we win that conflict. Let's see what Menmon and Helena do, but one victory point from a Spice Must Flow guaranteed, one from the Sleeper Must Awaken, and that's actually already 10. So we technically don't even need that double bump, but it can still be something to lock in another point or to make sure we don't get 1 point stolen from us. But let's see, we don't have much flexibility now anyways because the Menta is gone. So we can only count on this sword on reveal, our deck, so we get to 14 and that will be it. I think it looks like a win to be fair, but let us still make a roundup of the deck. So Memo Corder and Holzman Engine have good potential for Menmon. Does he have? He doesn't have it for the Memo Corder, and for the Holzman Engine only one Spice Must Flow, probably a second one now to be fair, so that puts him to 8. Maybe a corner of the market in there, which would put him at 10. What is on Helena's side? Nothing interesting in terms of endgame decks. Nothing really for her endgame, potential endgame card here. And he does have 3 cards, but and he picked up the Spy Satellite, so that's 3 points for him. He's at 8 potentially. But I mean, let's still try to wrap up the conflict now, I think. Although we're quite in a favorable position for next round as well, so maybe we should try to lock it in next round instead of pushing it now. Yeah, I think it can still make sense because we are 10 strength advantage here. Spice must flow for sure. Now the question is, do we... Yes, I think we do, because if we win the conflict we can get another point out of that. So let me advertise quickly my channel here. Trying to grow it organically, and yeah, feel free to like the video and subscribe if you haven't done so, and if you like my plays and my advice, because I'll definitely upload a daily video, some shorts as well, so feel free also to comment, let me know if there is anything you would see that could make sense from my side in terms of improvement or additions or anything I should avoid. Be very happy to hear about it. Seems we're not the only one. Seems we will have that game from 2 different angles. That's quite a unique experience, I think. It will be funny to also see the game from another point of view. So yeah, feel free to also have a look at his channel. I'm sure he's doing great. Tobias 88. So let's see. So Menmon still fighting for it, so most likely has a combat card or so. And that's probably not the end of the game. So, interesting. That puts us back in the game, down to 9 points. There shouldn't be any endgame then, as far as I see it. Wait, why would he do that? Oh, interesting. That locks in his memo corridor. And okay, he's got that demand respect, which seems to make the game go on. And now his memo corridor is active. Hopefully that card is not a plant within plans endgame card, because that would mean another 2 points for him. So that's a very interesting endgame. I really like it. So, what are we doing now? And does he have actually the 2 spice must flow now? Yes, he does. So let's also hope it's not a corner of the market, because it's another point for him. We only have 1 spice must flow actually, so it could be another 2 point for him. No one else has. It's complicated. We will for sure need to win that conflict. So we have a seat at the High Council. We will probably get those 2 spices here to potentially go for a Hayliner. But let's start with a gurney to here. I think it's the most important play. Oh, yeah, it's too slow. It's too slow. Allow me to deploy. No, he just put in 1 troop. Oh. Oh no, okay. Oof. But he spent our two entry cards. It's fine. It's better that at least he sent all in there. That was the most important. Now the fact that he used both our entry cards probably means no, we can actually do a potential Hayliner still by going to interstellar shipping first. So Menmon at 10 is a problem because he's got another 2 points waiting in his deck, so he's at 12 now. Not counting any potential endgame card in his intrigues. So 12. And he could even potentially get that 4th alliance. Having all 4 alliances is outrageous. But not much we can do about that, unfortunately. And I'm afraid our opponents cannot do that much about it neither. only Armand has enough for a Hayliner. But it would put him only at 6 troops in maximum, which would be 12 strength. And we are already at 18 thanks to our restricted ordnance. None of them have really important garrison, so we might not even need to go to Hayliner, and I kinda hope so, to be able to keep the spies as a tiebreaker, potentially, if we are able to match Menmon. But I'm not sure we can. Because we don't have any access to the Emperor spots, which could have been valuable just to block Menmon first by going to Wells and then being able to call back and get that point here would have been very valuable for us. But now we are at 11 persuasion, so our focus will be to not drop down below 9. Not sure exactly how, but it will probably mean an early reveal. What kind of text do we have here? Flagship could be actually another way of getting a point. And I think we have to. It could make sense. Although it means we burn all our spies and we burn our chance of going to Hayliner. But otherwise, I don't see. I mean, I see us at maximum 12 points. And Menmon is at minimum 12 points right now. Most likely 13 if he can get to there. So I think we need to gamble a bit and try to get to 13 as well, at least. So let us advance here. Recall. Get the 2 spies. First things first is getting that flagship. And does that matter anywhere? No, so let's still, I mean, we never know, but most likely will be useless. So now we need to win that conflict, and we need to keep 9 persuasion. So we will probably only be able to play either Gildan. No, we don't have the spice nor the water for it, and this smuggling is kinda useless. So it could be Spice Hunter to Steel Suits, just committing 2 more troops, losing that Spice and Sword on reveal, but I think anyways if it ends up on a Spice tiebreaker, Menmon has 3, we have 0 right now, so it's quite compromised. And yeah, having that Menta actually at least means no one else can have it, but we will probably not make the most of it, because we will need to early reveal. Digging for some intrigue cards, hopefully not finding those endgame, because that could definitely mean it's already finished. We can't really use anyways our flagship, because we already have 711 troops here, meaning we only have 1 left in our reserve. Probably for a Chomarchy. Digging for some more intrigue cards. And ensuring that tiebreakers are not decided on spice, although he has the spice for it, so it wouldn't really matter that much. but those 2 intrigue cards are probably valuable to him. Oh, a detonation device could make sense for us, but we're out of spice. And we would only be able to go there with a liaison, giving up a spice must flow, so would even itself out in terms of victory points. So let's do the Spice Hunter. I think it makes sense. Always hurts to get to the last level of a faction and not having the alliance. That can really show some inefficiencies and maybe some mistakes in the game. It's a pretty long game, 1 hour 30 minutes. It's among the longest for sure. Oh, and that's another victory point for Menmon. All 4 alliances, crazy. Yeah. And I mean, we're the only one having even tried fighting for them in Fremen and in Emperor. All the others like have really not been helpful for that. I mean, I'm not going to blame them for potentially losing it, obviously, but it definitely is something I could have also identified earlier and maybe trying to go for a bit more influence than the traditional plays to take advantage of those 2 more passive faction players. So Armand seems to get to at least 9 thanks to his spy satellite. And 5 intrigue cards means it's not over for him neither, and we don't even have a second place guaranteed there for sure. So yeah, nothing we can do about it. We need to reveal here and hope for the best in that conflict and in the lack of endgame cards in their intrigue cards piles. Yes. Oh no, that smells like a win for Menmon. And that's the 3rd spice must flow for him. So whether it's corner the market or plans within plans, it's going to be an additional 2 for him. So he'll be at 14 and we will be at 13 most likely. So we can only hope for a second place at least. Doesn't matter. And that's game. 15, 16 points. That's insane actually. I mean, with 13 victory points, most of the games you win, but 16 is like for sure a record, at least for me. I haven't seen that any time before. So that's still 1 star for us, so still going the right way. Thank you very much for following this journey. Let's continue and target that master's rank. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you soon. Have a good one. Bye bye.